I initially just didn't agree with the diagnosis. I actually told the doctor, I told him he didn't know what he was talking about, because I didn't actually believe that mental illness was a real thing. I thought it would be a physical illness, not a mental illness. I didn't want people to know what I was off with, and eventually I just had to come clean. I'm Andy Hall. I'm a husband, I'm a dad, I'm a friend. Some people call me a mentor. By day, I'm a mentor and relationship specialist, but I also like to speak publicly about mentoring and mental health.
Andy is born and raised up here in Manchester, suffering with depression and anxiety. However, coming out on the good side and showing that talking helps. We spoke to him, and this is what he said about being a part of the 75% of males currently battling a mental illness.
The first time I was diagnosed with a mental illness was 10 years ago exactly, and that was at work. The first time I was diagnosed with any medication, I was in my late teens and I was given beta blockers. Although it wasn't called a mental illness, but on reflection, it's definitely anxiety and potentially depression I had. So that was about 30 years ago. The initial signs I noticed when I was suffering with a mental illness, with anxiety or depression, I was getting very irritable, particularly at work, short-tempered with my family. One of the biggest symptoms, I suppose, was my memory. I was forgetting that I'd have meetings with people, that I'd send emails to people. I was just failing to remember many things. Became really bad driver as well. Started having car accidents after 30 years of having no accidents, 3 in 12 months. As a teenager, it was a different thing. It was just becoming really violent, getting involved in fights with people, falling out with everybody, especially my family. Became isolated from my friends. So many different signs emerged. It's amazing that you kind of only remember those things when you accept that you've had a mental illness.
We also spoke to a psychologist, giving us an overview of the psychological side of mental illness.
Okay, so my name is Sharon Demasio. I'm a chartered occupational psychologist, registered with the Health and Professions Council. So I started my career in the clinical field with a caseload of people with mental health conditions, both inpatients and outpatients. I think there are many causes of, I suppose, incidences of stress and mental health. And things like the state of the economy, money worries, relationship worries, all those things contribute to poorer mental health.
My daily life changed dramatically when I was first diagnosed and had to take time off work. My routine completely changed because at work you have shifts, you know what you're going to be doing on any particular day, who you're going to be seeing. To have no structure whatsoever, so didn't even really want to get out of bed because I had no purpose to get out of bed. My isolation intensified, became more paranoid, and I kind of just didn't want to do anything, so just had a bath, stayed in bed, didn't leave the house much. It took a lot for me to get over that.
But I think there are much bigger cultural issues as to why men are less inclined to talk about mental health than women. Men are expected to be the tough ones. Men are expected to live up to this gold standard of this sort of the powerful, invincible male. And the problem is that when they do start to experience a mental health condition, they start to feel shame and fear because they can't live up to this sort of male gold standard. So because they're feeling this shame and fear, the last thing they want to do is to talk about it. So what they tend to do is they tend to find their own ways of dealing with it.
The lowest point I reached during my battle was honestly planning my exit to end my life. That was difficult, still is. So stood in field one day, not knowing how I got there. It just gone dark and I was freezing cold. I was wearing shorts and slippers, and I had an argument with my children and my wife. So I decided to end my life. even now it still gets me there. I can't not say that without emotion. I've never felt better mentally and physically than I do right now. Sometimes it doesn't feel like I've got a battle at all, but that's only part of the story. It's still a work in progress. There's still dark moments, dark days. There's still a few days where I feel it's too difficult. So I'd be lying if I said that I'm a finished article. I don't think anybody ever is. But every day I feel like I'm getting just a little bit stronger, a little bit clearer, more on purpose, a bit better.